Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Wayne.
And this is
NFGeeks.
All right, Wayne, thank you very much once again. This is our last episode. And I want to pick up where we left off on the previous episode about typing and your ideas and theories. And I wanted to start off with more of a statement than a question first. But yeah, we're talking about typing, people typing each other or getting typed. Yeah. And I agree with what you're saying because my push is for professionals to do it, and that's why I always talk about the MBTI itself. Because one of the things I've found is that everyone's sort of typing each other and nobody knows what they're doing, and it makes us all look stupid. That's my And so if we had some professionalism, I think everyone would be typed more clearly. That's my my point of view. So that's why I push the MBTI. It's really my point. My point is, that we need professionals. Just like you said, we need professionals working on it, so that people can go to a professional and get it right. The first time, like in anything else. Because there's a lot of that. Everyone thinks they're an expert thing going on.
Yeah, I almost gave up on typology for that very reason.
Oh God, really?
Oh wow, these people don't know what they're talking about. This is stupid, and I almost gave up. But,
yeah, that's great. Yeah. I had that ENFP idealized naiveness. I was like, oh, everybody knows what they're talking about. This is going to be a great conversation. Yay! I had no idea that it was an ocean of stupidity. I had no idea. I just thought everybody's going to be All right, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about more stuff that you don't like.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any particular theory or part of a theory that you really think is off? Like even the parallel theories to MBTI.
Well, the one idea I see come up every once in a while is they try to match up physical characteristics with.
Oh. Yeah, go ahead. Oh no, did I lose you?
The way, maybe you kind of froze up for a second.
Yeah. So, oh God, yeah. Oh no, do you see me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead. So you were talking about that was a sad moment for the.
Oh.
But no, it's okay. We're back. See, isn't it funny? I was just talking about dead air.
Yeah.
And there it is. NFs would say that my energy created that. That's NF stuff. Don't. All right. The last thing I heard from you is you were talking about physical characteristics linking to type. So go ahead.
Yeah, and people try to look at somebody's either their physical traits or their mannerisms to try to identify, trying to look at cognitive functions, trying to match up, a person's the way they move their eyes and say, oh, that's NI or NE or whatever. I honestly don't really know where that comes from, but whatever it is, I don't see how that could really be true. Mm-hmm. I think mainly just because of my own experience. Because, for example, SE. To me, SE is just sensing the outside environment. What I'm presently taking in from with my five senses, and how I'm perceiving the world. It's a brain process, and I don't see what that has to do with how physically fit I am, or whether I'm athletic or coordinated, because it's not it's not about doing things. It's more about just about taking in experiences. So like me, for example, the main reason I never got into extreme sports or sports in general is because I was never physically coordinated as a kid, and so I think the reason a lot of SPs are athletic and are into extreme sports is because they have average to above average physical abilities to begin with, and so because of that, they can use that to indulge their extroverted sensing and get into these physical activities and then therefore become good at them. Whereas in my case, well, I was never good at physical activities, and so I just kind of gave it up at an early age, and then looked towards other types of activities to indulge my extroverted sensing, like computers or video games or just like drawing diagrams and trying to piece it together using my introverted thinking, and so I guess in that sort of sense it's like, well, that's I use myself as an example of how my natural physical ability just does not match up with the stereotypical SE function.
Do you have any opinions about socionics? Do you check it out? What do you think about that?
Okay, I gotta admit I've never really been interested in it. I see it talked about a lot on the forums.
Yeah, even on NFGeeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't really have an opinion about it one way or the other than it's just not something that really interests me. I see it as just kind of a parallel theory to MBTI. That's from what I understand, it's based on the same cognitive functions, but they just kind of like frame it in a different way and build off a different system off of it. And so it's like, well, if it's parallel to MBTI, then why do we really need it? I know one of the reasons I've heard that people are into it is because of the relationship dynamics that socionics goes into that MBTI really doesn't. And since I'm not a relational person, that doesn't really appeal to me.
Oh.
I have my own semi theories that don't rely on like anybody else's theories, but I just.
Oh. Let's talk about them. What is your main theory that you like? That's yours.
That's my main theory.
Yeah, or idea that you hold that comes right from Wayne. It's a Wayneism.
Well, see, the thing is, when I come up with my own theories, I don't try to like preach it as like this applies to everyone.
Sure.
I just sort of like throw it out as like an idea that I've experienced in my own life. Like I might talk about the child function and say, okay, this is how I relate to NI, introverted intuition, and okay, yeah, I can kind of see how I use NI as a child function to kind of play around with and don't really take seriously. And well, I honestly don't know because I haven't talked to very many people about their child function, so I don't know if this applies to all types. And going back to ideas about relationships, I know I've heard people talk about how your best match is those who share your same cognitive functions, and I look at that. Okay, well, yeah, I tend to be drawn towards INFJs. They have the same functions, just kind of flipped around a bit. Whereas other people might say, well, INFJ ISTP is a bad match because they're the S and the T and the and the P are all mismatched. And I know intuitives like to connect with other intuitives, and they have the SN divide. I have my own ideas about that. I just recently posted a video about that.
All right. Well, okay. Do you want to could you tell us a summary of what that is?
Well, sure. I mean, whenever I hear about the SN divide, it always comes from intuitives.
Oh, that's interesting. You're right. Yeah. Oh boy, I didn't think of that. All right, keep going.
Okay, so my theory is the intuitives will always be the first ones to notice it because it's thunder. Sensors. Okay, from what I've seen, sensors, including myself, don't initially grasp the very concept between sensing and intuition. Like when I used to take online MBTI tests, I would always score on the border between S and N, and I think that's mainly because I didn't quite understand the questions. Like whenever they talk, the questions will deal with, do you prefer to look at the concrete details or do you like to look at the big picture? Well, the thing is, a lot of sensors think they're looking at the big picture when they're really not.
Oh wow, that's you're probably absolutely right about that. Jeez, boy, that's a pretty good insight.
Yeah, and
I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's a very recent thing that I just recently came to.
Yeah.
Because I'm
gonna have to remember that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's only after listening to other intuitives talk with each other and discussing their deep philosophical big picture ideas that I realized, oh, they're seeing an even bigger picture than I am. Because like to me, big picture is just the sum of all the details. So
right.
You know,
right. The concrete details.
Yeah. And so, like, when I talk to sensors who say, yeah, I have to look at the big picture to see what's going on. Yeah, they're just taking all the concrete details and putting them together, and to them, that is the big picture. And it's kind of, that's how it is for me. But yeah.
Right. I get what you're saying. It's intuitives who've made the question. So there's sort of this underlying assumption that anybody who's a sensor is sort of just looking at this very small thing. But everyone is looking at the big picture. They're just framing the picture differently. Whatever their big picture is, it is. That's your. If I ask Noah right now, what's your big picture about the kitchen? He'd say, well, Dad, look, here it is. It's such and such wide, and the ceiling's there. It would be that's a big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the question isn't worded like that. The question is worded from the intuitive point of view, which is our view is so large and yours is so tiny.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. Wow. All right, but now then this leads to another question. How do you feel about the intuitive sensor bias issue that goes on in the community, especially online? Intuitive sort of assuming that sensors are stupid. Do you counter that, or do you have any opinions on that?
I personally have not encountered it very much.
Oh, that's good.
But then again, I probably don't hang out in typology forums as much as other people do. Typology, to me, it's still just a hobby that I don't take this. It's definitely been a major hobby over the past it's been over a year now. It's kind of been a major obsession of mine. But to me, even if it what's an obsession to me is still not something that kind of like consumes all my time or anything. So I just kind of like focus on just like the little areas of it that interest me, and the people that are in the forums that I visit are fairly reasonable, and so there aren't too many people on there that assume sensors are stupid or who have like hatred towards sensors, or they'll complain about things that sensors do, but just like everybody else, like I make fun of ESFJs all the time, especially on my YouTube channel, but just I don't hate ESFJs or anything. I have like close friends who are ESFJs that are that I enjoy having in my life. My mom's an ESFJ, I think the idea of sensor hate, to me, my opinion is just it's exaggerated at times, but I've never like really felt like serious hatred toward me as a sensor. I think the SN divide is just it's just miscommunication, like communication issues, frustration that the intuitive person is the intuitive person feels like the sensor just doesn't quite get it, or they're just not just not quite connecting, whereas the sensor just might say, oh, that was kind of a cool conversation. That's usually how it is for me. Like if I'm talking with an intuitive and they're sharing their ideas with me, I'll just kind of listen patiently and it's like, okay, that sounds kind of cool, and they might get frustrated that I'm not reciprocating. So I think that's kind of where a little bit of the frustration comes from. Or the feedback I'll give will just be my own like narrow, superficial point of view, and they might get frustrated that I can't deal with that or whatever.
All right, we got 1 minute left.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to add to any of this? Anything you want to say about typology, or you want to give out that message of any kind?
I don't know. Just I do think it's I do. I mean, I'm glad that you decided to invite me on the show. I know that you're saying ISTPs are really rare, and I would hope there are like actual ISTPs who watch NFGeeks, because ISTPs I think are just there aren't too many who are interested in typology, and those that are kind of in it for the wrong reasons. That's just my opinion. And
this is fantastic. What would the wrong reasons be?
Okay, this is just a theory of mine that
it's okay. This isn't science. It's showbiz.
Just to kind of justify their own bad behavior or their own flaws. Like a lot of the trolls I get on my YouTube channel are from supposed ISTPs trying to tell me I'm not an ISTP because they don't see themselves in me.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I mean that's a whole other topic that I'm sure we don't have time for. But I'm just hoping that
go ahead. I'll give you another 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is worthy of listening to. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get just especially lately. I think it's just because I've been on YouTube for a while now, so like my channel comes up when people do search for ISTP on YouTube. I get a lot of people who probably just recently typed themselves as ISTP, and they looked at the ISTP description and said, "Oh yeah, that's totally me. That explains why I'm having so much conflict in my life." And the whole idea of like ISTPs are like reckless, apathetic, and they like to do their own thing and have enjoy their freedom to be themselves. It kind of like empowers them, to be themselves and not care what anybody else thinks. Then they come across me, and I'm just like kind of a easygoing, nice guy who relates to people, and they look at me and they go, "Oh, that guy's not an ISTP," and so they just decide to troll me and try to discredit me, to say to look at me like, "Oh, I can't use that guy as an excuse anymore," so I'll just say, "Well, that guy's not an ISTP to begin with," and so that's mostly what I get. It's people like ISTPs who just want to use that type to kind of rebel against the world, and
wow.
It's and then they it's like a passing interest, and then they disappear. So that's kind of why I'm hoping to get more interested in typology, to kind of use it to empower themselves and to better themselves and to relate to other types.
Do you get a lot of trolls? Do you find do you have a troll rate?
Probably not nearly as much as you do.
That's because people hate me. That's why I have haters. There's absolute straight up NFGeeks haters. So, all right, but I'm curious as an ISTP how you handle it. That's why I'm asking. Not so much that what the trolls are, but how you deal with the trolls as an SP and an ISTP.
I guess it just depends on how reasonable they are. If they're just flat out saying you're not an ISTP, just like quit being a liar, I'll just ignore them. I just won't even respond to them. If they ask me questions like how do you know you're an ISTP? I think you seem like an ISTJ or an INTP. I might respond and say I know I'm an ISTP because of this and this. I've taken tests and I know because I identify with these functions. And then after that, if they start to get defensive or unreasonable, and I'll just kind of give them one word response like, "No, you're wrong about this," or "Quit bothering me," and then I'll just, if they get really aggressive, then I'll just block them. But yeah, it's I haven't encountered anything that's been unmanageable or anything. And I have it's kind of goes back to my own problem solving skills and dealing with crises. This is like nothing compared to other things I deal with in life.
Sure. That's right. I could see that. Yeah. All right. Well, that's perfect. That's 5 minutes perfectly. So, Wayne, Thank you so much for coming on NFGeeks.
Yeah. Thanks again.
It's great. Oh yeah. Really appreciate it. You're the only second SP to come on. The only other SP.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'll tell you though, if your views get higher than Uncle Jeff, I don't know. He might flip out. You know, so
I doubt that.
I don't know, man. He loves it. So, all right. So thank you, Wayne. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.